think I'd wanna be a bird of paradise, but now I'm happy. I used to think I'd wanna be a bird of paradise, but now I'm happy being just a quail. In all the world, there's only one girl like you. There's no one else who does the things you do. Who dances in the light, full of color, though black and white. No other one like you. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. You know the path to take, I know you do. Piercing eyes of clearest crystal blue. A half moon for a face, not one spot out of place. A perfect sleepy muse. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. Oh, Bella. I can still see you all curled up in the sunbeam, poking around at all my keys and guitars. You've been cooped up inside this tiny little apartment, perking up at all the passing cars. Never warmed up to me or anybody. Jenny said she found you by the side of the road. When she was out of town, took care of you like my own. But now I'm moving out, and I gotta go. But
I'm gonna, well, thanks everyone who's watching. I'm gonna be, this is my office hours. I'm James, and I'm gonna pick up where I left off super late last night and working on some of the ESB stuff. I think actually, um, Talis has been working on some stuff, and it did not pull cleanly. So I'm actually going to go ahead and check out what he changed, because it looks like maybe he force pushed at some point, which is going to be interesting. But I'll probably just take whatever he pushed because he knows what he's doing. Um, let's turn a couple things off first, just so I don't get some noise. Okay. Let's close this tab. And let's move this up. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to go and be good and update my notebook because that's a good habit to have. I guess. Is this yesterday? Can't keep track of days, apparently. Let's clean up the notebook a little bit. 29. Save that. Okay, let's copy this. And let's make. Let's clean up the notes. As always, let me know if there's anything you're interested in, or if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try and answer it. It's a Thursday going on a holiday in Germany because tomorrow, well, most of Europe probably, most of the world probably, other than the U.S. Tomorrow's Labor Day, so doing some work. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe during the day. I was thinking about if I have something to show off, if ESB is up and working, I'd love to do like a showcase Sunday or something like that, and kind of show off some of the stuff that I've been working on this week. We'll see if I have anything to show other than a lot of work in progress. Maybe it'll be a some Sunday kind of thing. Okay, I got notes. Sour schedule's notebook's probably better. It's just called office hours in the repo, but my outside folder is called office hours, so it seems silly to have office hours. Let's add the new files and remove the old one. New day. Fix some wrong dates. And as always, my notebook's up on GitHub. So if you're following along, trying to figure out what I did someday, they're here. I have most of the links to the streams. Let me go ahead and put a link to this stream, because otherwise I'm going to forget, and I'm going to just keep copying and pasting the old one. So let's put a link to this stream in there, and I've immediately screwed it up because I don't stream every day. But yeah. Hi, Martin. Let's make this window a little bit bigger so I can see the chat. I don't know if it's Martin or Martine. The soft J, I'm guessing. Oh, I guess I'm always going to get it wrong. So apologies if I said your name wrong. But thanks for watching. Okay, so let's look what. I actually want to go to his repo because I want to look at the pull request, and I want to see if it said force push, because I tried to do a pull and it was unhappy, but maybe he from oh, I wonder if he rebased for me. I bet you that's what it was. Let's look at, well, you know what, let's Let's figure out what's changed. ESB. I'm getting emails. Nothing too important. Nothing that has to be dealt with now. What am I doing? I want to do... Let's look and see what's changed since I last looked at this. So what has Talus done? I'll actually swap this because this is more clear, because this is what I had. Oh, he added my name to the repo. That's nice. Removed some dependencies. That makes sense. Removed some of my hacks. That's good. Needed to happen. Let's just swap sides, because this is me and this is what Talus has done. Reorganize some stuff. Re-enabled the ramp up. I guess maybe I think he did that in his... Okay, so I think these are the changes from his more recent radio things. These are requested for an ACK. We need compiler friends here. DMA will automatically start listening for packets after the ramp up is completed. I'm not entirely sure about this, but I think we're going to get rid of this with the grants and stuff. Okay, so the timer's being used for... Okay. Haven't really gotten to peripherals yet, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, he's removed some unused stuff into bytes. That makes sense. Make that available. That makes sense. Offset. I sort of want to disagree with you on this one, Talus, because I think this is going to end up making a whole slice, but I don't think it should be wrong. I wonder why you changed that, Talus. Talus, once you're watching, I'm interested why you did this. I guess probably to make it not unsafe. But, I mean, DMA pointer I kind of want to be unsafe. Oh well. Pub grant. I sort of don't want that to be pub grant. That's... Oh, he removed it. Okay, good. Into bytes. As mute pointer. Sure. Oh, right. You can do .min on stuff now. Or maybe you have. That's now is relative. Now versus when I looked it up years ago. Should be made. Sure, that all makes sense. IRQ. Yep, good call. Okie dokie, yeah, that looks consistent. I probably screwed that up, so that's good. Like I said, some of these I was just kind of like hacking through, and I knew once I was going to write the first code that it was going to blow up type errors in my face. But that's nice. That's what we want Rust to do, is to blow type errors up in our face. Clippy type complexity. Oh well. Can't make Clippy happy all the time. There's an interesting post recently where they talked about the most disabled Clippy lints, and I think type complexity, or maybe it wasn't type complexity, maybe it was like cyclomatic complexity or something like that. interesting that payload length, PID, pipe, and NOAC are all there. I mean, I made this on purpose, but because this keeps us from accidentally screwing this up by keeping it with the name. I guess it's to make the NOAC a bool. Addresses for communication. Okay, so addresses live in here now. Okay, that's cool with me. So all this is cool with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to git checkout -b wob old. And let's fast forward into the future. So now we're on Talus's branch, or what Talus did to my branch, I should say, more accurately. This is not true anymore. Is anyone bugging me about stuff? But yeah. Let's go, and I'm gonna put my hack back actually. I think there's a way to do this to make Rust Analyzer not, or to realize this, but I don't actually know. So what was I gonna do? We were gonna do IRQ. So this is the problem, is that this needs some methods. Yeah, I think I'm gonna clean up the interface a little bit. I think we're gonna do a little bit of gardening. And I think we're gonna get, let's remove this because this is now helps if I'm right in the, I think Rust Analyzer is still thinking very carefully about what we're doing. There we go. Oh right, like everything's unused. Okay, that's not going to be super useful. Let's leave that in there for now. So let's just go start adding some docs for things that we should know. Create wide error type. What does EOF get used for? Looks like it's only used for this, so we're gonna get rid of it. Maybe I shouldn't be, because I'm guessing, wow, you know what? He probably put them there for a reason. Probably because the Nordic driver uses them. Unable to add item to the queue. Queue is full. We're probably going to need queue empty, I would guess. Queue is empty. Unable to split to producer. Consumer halves. The buffer has already been split. What happens on invalid parameters? Values out of range for packet. Let's just say values out of range. Is idle. Let's not mess with these because I don't need these. I don't know these yet. So, does this really need to be public up in the top of lib? Buffer needs to know this. IRQ needs to know this. Like, this feels like this should probably live in the radio because this is all the state of the radio. And we're not really going to see this from anywhere other than the IRQ. So I'm going to move this over here. We're going to see what doesn't compile. Buffer. Okay. Like error makes sense to be here. Constants like this make sense to be here. I don't know if this needs to be public, but we'll see. Let's start up an app. I wonder. I just like seeing what happens. Okay, buffer needs to be able to see this. Yeah. There's probably some stuff that I could clean up and make not. Make a constructor for this so we don't need to make these fields public. This is the primary application side, non-interrupt interface. It is intended to be used outside of the radio interrupt and allows for sending or receiving frames from the ESB radio interface. Hardware. It's giving me a warning. Streams. Oh, it always gives me that warning. I should probably add some doc comments and stuff like that. I don't know if the code will actually compile yet. Obtain a grant for an outgoing packet to be sent over the radio. This interface return space is available. This function will return a what's it called, a payload, which can be written into for data to be sent over the radio. If the given parameters are incorrect, or if no space is available, an error will be returned. Notes on valid values. Payload length must be between 0 and 252 bytes. PID must be between 0 and inclusive. 0 and 3 inclusive. Pipe must be between 0 and 7 inclusive. To do AJM, why don't we have the user just provide a header here? It would make the interface less complex. We could also provide a builder for the header. Starts radio sending all packets to the queue. The radio will send until the queue has been drained. Okay, that makes sense. Is there a received message that is ready? To do AJM, is this appropriate for PRX? Or is this a PTX only sort of interface? is ready to be read. Returns true. If a call to self packet return some attempt to read a packet that has been received via the radio. Returns some payload R. If a packet is ready to be read, otherwise none. This field well, I can't remember. Let's So unique address, which is composed by the base address and the prefix. Pipe 0 has a unique base and prefix, while the other pipes share a base address but have different prefixes. Okay. Someone pinged me and quoted my own tweet. So I want to see, because I can't remember. Oh. What's the include private? There is a, let's move you over. There we go. Document private items open. Where do you live? You live in app addresses. I can't remember if this works as a syntax. It is red squigglying me, so perhaps not. Doc comments cannot be applied to function parameters. Darn. I was hoping that might be, but I don't think we should panic. if someone's typing to me and it makes me want to pay attention. If RF channel is greater than 100, return error invalid parameters. Sure. I don't think that getting vendors to support Rust is the solution. I've seen several silicon vendors right now trying to impress upon me how good their toolchain is. No embedded toolchain, of course, holds a candle to any of my standard programming toolchains. There are simply too few users and developers. I mean, fair. BSDER, I don't know if you're actually watching my stream, but I think the only viable solution is for Rust embedded to piggyback on something like Visual Studio Code and its Rust support. I'm going to jump into chat for this one. I'm going to jump into chat for this one. Am I going to bring this up on screen? I'm not going to bring this up on screen. So but I'm going to say if folks here are interested in embedded IDE, please feel free to DM me. Shoot me an email at james.munz@ferrissystems. It's something we've talked about supporting. They're extending existing ones, seeing what kind of support would be interesting and reasonable. But yeah, like I said, I'm interested in having a good embedded Rust IDE. I know there's some companies out there who are working on it, honestly, actually, and some that are interested in it. But yeah, something we've talked about at Ferris. It's potentially interesting. So if that's interesting to any folks out there, shoot me a message, send me a DM on Twitter, comment in the chat. Let me know what you would want. But yeah. So Lumpio, you just tuned in. What is this level of implementation on? This is for implementing the extended shock burst protocol, which is a proprietary basic packet radio protocol on the Nordic hardware. So it's basically just like the simplest packet radio you can get with very low level support. What I've been doing lately is being Talis and I have been Talis is been doing most of the radio side, and I've been integrating BBQ into it so that we can have like variable size packets, so that you can just use variable size packets and stuff on the wire and use kind of like variable size buffers and stuff for that. But yeah. That's my 2 cents. If you're interested in it, let me know. We're interested in either implementing it or talking to companies who are interested in implementing it and helping them implement it. The big thing is figuring out what makes sense from a Rust perspective or an embedded Rust perspective that isn't huge and exhaustive in terms of like, oh, we need to support every single chip configuration out there, because right now there's already huge vendor IDEs and things like that do that, and usually they're run by the companies that are the vendors. Certainly what the embedded Rust community usually calls a good tool and what most vendors provide is perhaps significantly different, but the vendors' tools work for a lot of people. So there's something to be said for that. But yeah, I'd love to have something more custom. I know there's some open source folks working on that. I think folks like the ProBars folks are building a lot of those pieces right now. And if you haven't checked out ProBars, go check that out. But yeah, the question is, what is an embedded IDE, and what do you want from it, and what should it do? I'm interested to hear your opinions. We had a meeting about it previously at Ferris. So we have some ideas. Nothing that we are hugely excited about yet, but there's, like I said, there's other people working on that. We're happy to talk to anyone. If you work at a company who is working on that and you want to chat about what an embedded Rust IDE could look like, let us know. But yeah, we got folks thinking about it. Okay. Is it an NRF device with a hardware peripheral that implements a large part of it, or this runs on an NRF 52. So this is like, you can buy an external NRF 24 that does shock burst, and it's just a chip that does shock burst. The 52, which normally is a Bluetooth or an 802.15.4 chip, can also do shock burst. So we're implementing the shock burst driver for the 52, so you don't need an external chip. This is just using the radio peripheral and I think a timer peripheral on the 52. Let me link to this. Although this isn't going to tell you much. Lumpio. Right now I'm just writing docs because I've like hacked together a bunch of things before. I think the only thing in IDEs are debuggers, in my high opinion. Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. That's the first thing where my brain went. I've heard really good things about like Seger Ozone and things like that. I've not personally used it. I'm very much like a GDB server kind of person most of the time. But yeah. So Lumpia, what I'm actually doing is, yeah, NRF 24 is super widely used. What I'm doing right now is writing docs for all the crap that I wrote over the last couple days. So if you want to catch up on the stream, there's like 10 hours from this week, but it's a lot of me like making type errors and things like that. But once it actually works, I'm hoping to do like a hour stream of just playing with it. So producer to send frames from the application to the radio. Oh, excuse me. Producer to app. This is in the IRQ. From the send incoming frames from the radio to the application. Consumer to receive outgoing frames to the radio from the application. Debugger like Remedy RG. I haven't seen Remedy RG before. Peripheral timer used for ACK, and there's another other timeouts. ESB radio. Wrapping structure of the NRF radio peripheral state. Current state of the radio IRQ task. The assigned addresses of the ESB radio and pipes. Remedy BG. Haven't heard of Remedy BG either. Take a look at the datasheet for those NRF 52 chips to see what the radio really does. Yeah, actually surprisingly the radio part of the Nordic datasheets are really good except for the radio part. They really don't say much about it. Like they say it like from a very like analog radio perspective, but as a software developer, they don't really say much. The most useful thing, so if you go into my office hours repo, Lumpio, James Munn's office hours, you've got my notebook, and if you go to like literally probably any day this week, these are useful repos. So this is a link to the repo that I'm working on now. The Nordic SDK docs are pretty good. So these are like the C SDK, not like the datasheet. This is the datasheet. There was also, I thought there were more that I had in here that were like, there was a link to a couple blog posts and things like that. Maybe I don't have it in here. Oh, here it is. It's in the first notes. There's like a intro to shock burst, and it tells you how it works. And then honestly, looking at their C code, their C implementation of shock burst is only like 1,500 lines of code. It's not huge. So it's not particularly hard to follow if you're comfortable with C, and you are. 100% agree on IDEs. I'd rather have a few simple tools that I can use via build system than a big GUI mess that most vendors provide. Well, I think their radio is just their special sauce. Like, or maybe it makes more sense to people who aren't me. Like, if you read their like serial port peripheral and read the driver for that, it's going to make a ton of sense, and you can implement stuff from scratch from that. When I read like the radio peripheral stuff, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe to like Talis or Jonas or someone like that who have worked much lower level to implement like Rubble and stuff like that, it might make way more sense to them. The number of attempts to send the current packet. Yeah. Stuff for the interrupt side of things. That's not a particularly useful. What did I say for app? This is the primary radio interrupt side interface. Inside from the application hardware. Will there eventually be an ESB HAL that you want also implemented for the NRF42? Do you mean the 24 and such? I mean, like, someone could write an external driver. I think it's just a SPI device, so it'd actually be pretty straightforward, I think. I'd actually think there might be Rust embedded / awesome embedded Rust. I know I've seen someone playing around with an NRF24. They might have just NRF24. Yeah, there's already an embedded HAL driver, so like it just requires SPI and GPIO. So if you want to play with like a dedicated NRF24 right now, just go play with that. I have no idea how much it actually works, but there does appear to be one. And the NRF24 is a really simple SPI device, if I remember correctly. Most of the complexity here is about like message queuing and stuff like that, which is, just a software thing. But we're making sure that it plays nice, like inside of RTFM or with CMIM or something like that. Yeah. I'm gonna be const. Wow. Good docs, James. So this interface is gonna suck, cause it's gonna have to look something like because I can't use trait bounds here. It's gonna look something like static buffer ESB buffer like U512 U256 equals ESB buffer app to radio buff like const BB buffer const BB buffer new or something like that. This is all like const generics not being stable, something like that. This is the backing structure for the ESB interface. A front end for GDB and WebAssembly could maybe be a nice solution. If you haven't check out, there's like a visual GDB or something like that. There's I have a blog post about it from a long time ago. GDB GUI or something like that. It's probably not WebAssembly, but it is like web based. It's from a while ago. Yeah, GDB GUI. There's like a little tool. It's not WebAssembly, but I think it's an open source tool that works. And I used to use it for embedded, or I used it for training for a while because it gave you some cool like ability to see stuff on the side. But yeah, if you're interested in writing a WebAssembly one, that might be it. What we thought about before is integrating into an existing one that's fairly extensible. Like VS Code got thrown around as a possibility of writing like some VS Code plugins, like doing some seamless integration of some tools, building some own visualization tools and things like that, and putting it together in like a shrink wrap package that people could use. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, send me a message. Fair Systems would love to build and maintain that if there's interest for it. Yeah. It is intended to live at static scope and scope and provides storage for the app and ESB IRQ interfaces creating at static scope. Currently, due to lacking const generics, the UX for this isn't great. You'll probably want something like this. Rust. This creates an ESB storage structure with room for 512 bytes of outgoing packets, including headers and 256 bytes of incoming packets, including headers. And I probably need something like use crate. We should re-export lib. Yeah, we don't export anything. We should probably start exporting things. Export type items necessary to create a backing. Not being allowed to have trade bounds on cons defend kind of adds insult to injury to the lack of cons generics. You're darn tootin'. You are in fact darn tootin'. Yeah, I guess I'm in buffer 111. Let's try something. Cargo test. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this first implementation done because I really want to build some cool stuff on top of this. Like, I really want to take Postcard, which is my library for serialization, and make it really seamless to just like use the radio like you're passing structs from one task to another, but you're passing them wirelessly over the air, and it just feels like you're passing it from one task to another. I want to build some stuff for Postcard, like being able to do cryptographic signing and encryption over the air. So you can have encrypted packets. Like, my goal is to make it just really, all the stuff that I do is I like making stuff that's really simple and easy to use and can only be really used in like one right way. I really like making stuff like that. Like, that's what I've aimed to do with BBQ and stuff like that, although like lack of const generics has kind of bit me on this. We need array length, BB buffer, const. Cargo watch. But to do that first, I need a working radio. And I want it to be really easy because I've got a bunch of these. I don't know where they're sitting around. I've little NRF 52832 dongles, which are these fun little USB stick looking things that have radios on them, and they cost about $10, and they have lots of pins on them, and they have USB. And I've got some, well, not me, but some people at Ferris, surprise, you will find out later, have been working with the NR52 and been no, Jorge's talked about that publicly. If you go look at Jorge's Twitter, Japarek, he's been doing some really cool stuff with the NR52. He's got some like 802.15.4 radio stuff going. He's got USB stuff where he has an entire async application running on here that basically acts like a USB async 802.15.4 radio modem, which is super cool, and we're going to be using that for some cool stuff in the future that you'll find out about soon. Surprise oxidized trainings. And yeah, so I'm pretty pumped about that, but I'm also working on Shockburst because the cool thing about Shockburst is 802.15.4 is limited to 250 kilobit per second, where Shockburst will do 2 megabit per second. So you can have a 2 megabit link between two devices. Yeah. So it's 8 times faster. And if you're just sending like little dumb packets and you don't need routing or anything like that, then Shockburst is awesome. And for most of this stuff, I have like one of these plugged into a computer, and then I have like 4 of them around my house with sensors and stuff like that. So I'm actually pretty pumped about that. And because it's got USB, I can just shove it in a little, well, this is a very dead USB battery because I haven't, oh no, it's not. I charged it. So you can just do things like plug it into a little USB battery, and now it's a standalone embedded system, and it'll just run for forever, or until the battery decides that it's not drawing enough current and shuts the power off. Use crate. Less talking, more writing docs. Tallis is depending on me. He's probably not, but oh, I need to export const BBB buffer. Buffer. Const. No. Use BB key. ESB. Oh, it's not crate. Lib should probably export. Pub use. I wonder if there's a way to find USB power banks that are guaranteed to not shut down when they think they have no smartphone trying to charge it off them. I don't know, maybe just have a physical switch. There's definitely like lists of those. The two that I see for power banks like that people look for, one is like they don't shut off when there's low current, and ones that allow pass-through charging. So you could do things like see, I guess this one shut off. It was working for a while. This is like the nice Anchor one. But the other one that I see is pass-through charging. So basically you can use these like a UPS for like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. So you just have like a USB charger plugged in, and then you have your device plugged into the other side and treat it like a DC UPS. I have a couple around my house that are both of those, which is awesome for embedded systems. They're like those ones that look like little lipstick cases. Yeah, I've used them for like a couple weeks at a time for some sensor stuff. And it occasionally needed to move them, so being able to have them on a battery without shutting off was nice. But yeah, I'm sure that there are blogs and stuff like that which do list that. It's nice and too smart for the application. Yeah, it keeps your battery from draining itself. Buffer, ESB buffer. App to radio. Yeah, I really don't want people using this. But this is the only way to. These have to be pub because there's no other way to construct this. Because like you can't. Otherwise, I have to do some like really gnarly. Yep. ESB app. Oh, it's not these ones. I guess it's not so harmful to have these ones public because there's really not much that you can do. I mean, you could split it yourself and then it'll prevent you from using that. So it's not unsafe. Although the members of this struct are public due to const generic limitations. They are not intended to be used directly. This could cause unintended, though not undefined, behavior. So basically, it's not unsafe, it's just not gonna work. Outside of static creation. Macro rules make buffer time. I could, but I mean, like, whatever. Like, the only thing you can do with a BB buffer is split it. And then if you later try and split it to make an ESB buffer, it's just gonna say no. Like, it's gonna say, like, literally there's a check right here that says if either of my children buffers were split already, then no, you can't make it. So like then you'll have a BBQ buffer that goes nowhere, which does you no good. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I could make a macro or something for it, but I can't be bothered right now. If someone wants to make one and PR it, then they're welcome to. Attempt to split the static buffer into handles for interrupt and app context. This function will only succeed once. If the underlying buffers have also split directly, this function will also fail. On splitting, the radio will be initialized, set to idle. Hey Talis, you're showing up, although I'm about to duck off for a couple minutes. But yeah, I've been writing docs, I promise. Look, I'm running doc tests even. At least one doc test. But yeah, I'll keep cleaning this up. Log. I don't know what you're doing with the log, but yeah, I guess this is for logs. Okay, I'm gonna drop out for like 5 minutes and take a break, and I'll come back, try and finish up these. I probably won't go very late. I went for like 3.5 hours yesterday, so I'll try and finish writing the docs for as much as I am aware of, and then we'll probably just merge this as is, Talis. So yeah, all right. Thanks everyone. I'll be back in a minute.
I'm just a bunch of atoms. I've got my pros and cons. I keep to myself mostly, just me and my electrons. I'm just a lonely gas, doing my lonely thing. I fill the room but don't ever go outside my orbital ring. Here I stand inertly, valiantly, balance free of energy. significant value. Our significant value. Our significant value.
did that, we were speaking about that nothing is really corny if you can find a way to do it.
Hey, I don't know if BSDER is still around. Can you link for those chargers? Oh, they were like Andrew's asking about those chargers that I mentioned. I don't know. I bought them on eBay like 5 years ago. I don't know which ones they are. I just googled at the time like which ones had pass through charging, and I found some on like AliExpress or eBay or something like that. They're not tremendous quality. I'm surprised I don't have them sitting around somewhere. Well, they're definitely sitting around somewhere. The question is where. Not not easily. Oh, they're in a drawer in the other room. Actually, I know where they are, but they're they're kind of like square. They're like I don't know, 2-3 inches long. They're the size of like an 18650. Basically, like you can tell it's just an 18650 in a square case with like a tiny little circuit board on top. They're like the cheapest ones you can buy. I think they were like $5 a piece, and I bought like 6 or 7 of them just because. Yeah, I don't think I have one handy, unfortunately. But yeah, they're I don't even know if they're still around. So, um, I would just like Google for it. I don't have any like I wouldn't recommend them necessarily, but they worked for what I used and they were cheap. Yeah, that's the funny thing is the dumb ones sometimes are better because they won't try and outsmart you. Yeah, I don't have one handy. I don't know if I don't know if BSDER is still around, but the interesting thing is like writing drivers for chips is just like a lot of manual work. There's just like a lot of different boards there, and the only people who are really willing to pay all of that money um, are the chip manufacturers themselves. Like the people who use them. Like we've certainly developed drivers for people at Ferris Systems, and I know other folks in the Rust community who have been paid to develop drivers as well. But there's not like a ton of it's not a ton of people that are willing to pay for like full board support. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So open source is usually what you end up doing. Um, yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it. Also, I totally don't mind if people ask questions or just like randomly chat in the stream. It's nice to talk to people about stuff because I have opinions. And yeah, I should be writing docs, but sometimes it's more fun to chat with people. So if you have questions or stuff you're working on or like general questions, feel free to ask. A header containing the non-payload. I guess this should probably be non-payload portion of a header of an ESB packet. I don't know if you actually need to be 2 bytes. I don't think you need to be. What if I made you not pub? Yeah. The packed presentation of an ESB header. Yeah, I've seen, when I meant lipstick cases, like, I've seen some that are round. The ones that I had were square and they had a little button on them. Yeah. I don't think there's much add to a header. I don't think from, yeah. Convert into a packed representation meant for internal data queuing purposes. From bytes. Convert from a packed representation. You know what I should do? I should make this not because type aliases are gross. Copy from slice dot 0. $98 from bytes. I guess ESB header bytes. $58. Where's this? App 58. Use create payload EFG header bytes. and it's going to complain that this struct is private, and I'm going to say I know, but it's cool. Accessor for the pipe ID of the packet. If I'm doing polled-based network code, should I use Toki? Am I better off going the Mio level? I don't know. Depends on your application. Polling-based network code. To be honest, I don't do a lot of async. There are other people at fairs who are way better at async than I am. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried unsuccessfully to learn Tokyo a couple times. I sort of learned async standard. I also hear they're small now, which is supposed to be cool. So I'm the wrong person to ask for async, unfortunately. Async on embedded, maybe I'll eventually learn because Jorge is a good teacher. But in terms of like on an operating system, I have very little input, unfortunately. Accessor for the no ACK field of the packet. Accessor for the length in bytes of the payload. Byte index of the RSSI field. Byte index of the pipe field. Byte index of the payload length field. Byte index of the PID no ACK field. Size of the header packed in bytes. Offset of the bytes needed for DMA processing. Payload R. A handle representing a grant of a readable packet. This exposes the bytes of a payload that have either been sent from the app and are being read by the radio, or a payload that has been received been sent from the radio and is being read by the app. Create a wrapped payload grant from a raw BBQ framed grant. Obtain a copy of the header coded in the current grant. obtain a pointer to the DMA pointer should only be visible to the crate. To provide to the radio DMA. This includes part of the header as well as the full payload pipe. An accessor function for the pipe of the current payload. This function releases the packet from this function marks the packet as read and restores the space in the buffer for reuse. If this function is not explicitly called, e.g. the grant is just implicitly dropped, the packet will not be released, and the next payload R grant will contain the same packet. You shouldn't live here, you should live up here. Provide read-only access to the payload of a grant. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking here, but yeah. Create a new obtain a writable payload. Let's just go copy. A writable grant from the application side. This method should only be used from within ESB app. Obtain a writable grant from the radio side. This method should only be used from within ESB IRQ. Okay. Andrew and BSDER. Yeah, so like my thoughts on the matter is that like writing drivers is a lot of work, and like people will do it open source, but like I've also talked to a lot of corporate clients and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to switch to Rust because the vendor doesn't officially support it, and we also don't want to pay to implement all the support that we need, so we'll just keep using C." So like it's a real like weird chicken and the egg problem. Update the header contained within this grant. This can be used to modify the pipe length of the of the packet. I should probably consistently use packet or frame, but yeah, I know a lot of people tend to use them interchangeably as well. I think this maybe doesn't need to be pub crate. I think this is fine to be pub. And let me put this up at the top because it's actually a pub method and not. And I think this one should be pub crate because I don't think our users have any need to get the DMA pointer. It's just a kind of a foot gun. We're managing the DMA. An accessor function to get the pipe ID of the current grant. An accessor function to get the maximum size of the payload of the current grant. Commit the entire granted packet, e.g. packet and payload. If this function is not explicit, function or commit are not explicitly called, e.g. the payload W is implicitly dropped, the packet will not be sent. Commit the first used bytes. Commit the payload packet, including the first used bytes of the payload. If used is larger than the maximum size of the grant or of the ESB protocol, it will be provide read-only access to the payload portion of the grant. Provide read-write access to the payload portion of the grant. Peripherals. I'm not going to know much in peripherals, so let's just Let's. Hey, Talis, are you around? Talis usually hangs out on Matrix, so Matrix might take a little bit. But I think I'm done with docs. We might wanna. Well, you know what? Let me. Export, create relevant items. Cool. Talis is around. Did you want me to just do the docs and we'll merge this as is, and then we'll keep implementing like the radio switchover in another PR, or did you want me to go ahead and try and take a stab at integrating the radio stuff using BBQ, or do you feel like you have a good feel for it? Quite a delay from YouTube, I guess. All right, I'm gonna write clap, clap. That's the amount of delay that you see. App buffer, IRQ, SB IRQ, ESB header is private. I don't think ESB header. Payload ESB header. Excuse me. Payload. Apparently we're on more than 30 seconds of delay, so that's kind of frustrating, but what can you do? What other things do we need to be public? So we've got the BBQ stuff. Sport dependency items necessary to create a backing structure. I guess I should add module level items with the radio and ESB IRQ and another PR. Okay, cool. Then let me. Yeah, I don't know if I have enough things public, but I have. Let's get rid of this, and I just want to see what it gives me. So let's pull this up. So we've got const peripherals, ESP radio, I guess. I guess some of that needs to be there, but Okay, well then let me. Nope. Okay, well then, Talis, I'm gonna go ahead and push this. Yeah, I think that'll probably do it for me tonight. Unless there's something you think we should be doing real quick, like I'm happy to help. But I think the next step is going to be tackling IRQ and basically moving everything from peripherals. Well, maybe not moving it from peripherals, but wiring it up from peripherals into IRQ. Yeah, the grants live in the radio, so you're familiar with that. Let me go to your okay, let's initial switch over to BBQ for backing structures. And let's ready for review. Oops. Resolve conversation. Oh, I bet you I committed this again. I gotta stop blindly committing everything. Okay, then yeah, probably worth a merge on this one. I wasn't great on keeping commit hygiene. But yeah. Yeah, I think this one's ready to go. We got at least we got some docs. There are in fact some docs. Yeah, if you want to do like if there's anything you want to manually rebase, feel free. I also don't know. My personal belief is I see value in PR. Like I squash commits on almost all of my projects personally when I remember to. But you do what you like. If you'd like me to rebase them, I can. If you don't want to, yeah, no preference for me. How many files did I change? I added more code than I removed, so that's not great. You know, I wonder if hey, look, no clippy notes. Okay, well then before I'm done for the day, does anyone out there on chat have any questions for me, or is this gonna be it for it today? Talus is typing, or Matrix thinks Talus is typing. We're huge. Just try to merge them today or tomorrow morning. He's saying that he'll merge it soon. If I get to it before you, I'll just branch off my top commit now and handle base later. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, now is the chance in chat. Otherwise, thanks everyone for watching. Tomorrow is a Friday, so we'll see. I don't know. Chances are I'll probably stream twice in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Almost certainly on Sunday. So whether I stream on Friday or Saturday, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll probably stream at some point over the weekend. I would really love to have this like sending and receiving by Sunday, but I know I'm leaning on Tallis for a lot of that, so maybe I'll get in there and do more radio code once he's started unblocking things like that. Or I'll pick it up, so I'm not leaving everything to him, because right now all I've done is made things more complicated and maybe cleaned a couple things up. But yeah, definitely check out the repo. Let me know if you have questions about anything, and I'll probably be done for the day. So thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, I'll catch you all another time. Have a great weekend. Well, or a Friday if you're not having a holiday tomorrow, but have a great weekend.